All right. I think we should be live here. So, there we go. All right. What is up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday evening here. I guess if you're on the East Coast, it's already Thursday, and we are less than 2 days from our storm starting. So, let's see. The Euro is just now coming in. How about we look at the GFS to start the stream off? But I'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. I know I started a little bit late, but had to put a beanie on. My hair wasn't having a good hair day, so I had to slip the beanie on. But what is up, everybody? Connor's in the chat. We got Justin, Oversteer, Derek. What's up? Jim, how's it going? We got Beth in here. Andy Dalton. Yeah, I wish Andy Dalton, man. Andy Dalton's living the dream. Millions of dollars. Quarterback in the NFL. He got his time to be a starter. Now he's a backup. Backup quarterback has to be one of the best jobs in the whole NFL. Probably best job in the whole world there. Backup quarterback. LSU beanie. Go Tigers. Lane Kiffin cooking in the portal right now. So our basketball team ain't doing too hot, but hey, baseball season's just around the corner. That's what matters. It's baseball season's coming up. All right, let's break down some of our models. So I'm gonna go through like 4 or 5 of the global models. We're still kind of in the range where some of these global models are actually better than some of the other models like the NAM. And then we have our convective allowing models, which most of those are 48 hours. There's a few 84-hour ones, but they take forever to load in. But we'll look at some of our convective allowing models after this. And those are mostly just going to go out to the start of the storm. So tomorrow by this time, we'll know a lot more when it comes to that stuff. Good to see 40 of you guys in here. Smash that like button for me. And before I break down these models, let me know where are you tuned in from. Let me know where you're watching from. And at some point in the stream, I'll have everybody, if you're in the path of the storm, you can comment where you live, and I'll give you a little breakdown of what you should expect. And unfortunately, the models haven't really made it too much easier to forecast our storm. So, but what is up, guys? Let me know where you're watching from, and let's get into this. So here you can see this is about dinner time. About dinner time Friday, you can see here snow, sleet, probably some ice starting here. You can see your freezing. Pay attention to where your freezing line is. Dinner time Friday, 6 o'clock. Freezing line all the way almost down to Midland, Odessa, and then right at the Red River. And that's going to sag south as that cold, shallow air keeps going to the south. Before I get into this too much, let me read off some of these. We got Nashville in the chat, Illinois, Atlanta. Hopefully Atlanta can avoid the destructive ice storm. Southern Indiana. We got North Dakota, Napoleon, Missouri. I don't know where that is. We got, Seattle, Jim. Go Seahawks. I think you guys might win it all. Little Rock, Arkansas. Going to get a lot of sleet, I think, and probably a little bit of snow on the backside. Northeast Oklahoma here. You're excited. Don't get too excited. We know how these systems can be around here. But we got Austin, Texas in the chat. You guys are going to get some ice. We got McAllen, Texas. You're going to get some ice too. Lumberton, Mississippi. I don't know what part of Mississippi that is, but the northern half, you got to watch carefully. All right, so let's get into this here. Let's get into the system here. So when I say generational storm possible in the title, I think my thumbnail said that. I don't know if it changed or not, but just generational in the sense of like a storm stretching from New Mexico to Maine, and some people are going to get the most snow that they've gotten in 10 or 15 years. So I'd say 10 to 20 years is almost a generation. So yeah, it's going to be generational for some people. All right, here we go. Friday evening about 9 o'clock. You can see snow, sleet starting to blossom across Oklahoma. First snow of the year, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. It's going to be rough, guys. People, for some reason, even if they've driven in years past, they just forget. They forget how to drive in the snow. So, first snow of the year. It's gonna be rough out there to start, but by midnight, you can see probably some moderate snow here. And this is the GFS. The Euro might be a little farther north. The Icon and the UK Met, which we will look at, those are much, much farther north. And you can see a dangerous sleet and ice storm. Sleet can be a problem. You get 4 or 5 inches of sleet, and you get cars getting like starting to drive on the sleet, and they make ruts in the sleet, and then those ruts freeze. You can't even drive on that crap. It's nasty. But you can see snow up here north of 40, sleet and ice south of 40. I have a suspicion that maybe that snow line is going to be a little farther north, but this is probably not too far off. The HRRR has the sleet line like up here in Kansas, which is not going to happen. And we'll talk about that too in a few minutes. But you see, this is kind of a weaker wave of energy. It's still going to pack a punch and make things a mess. You can see here by Saturday, 6 a.m., still some moderate snow, light snow up to the north, but it's a weaker wave of energy. And then areas of the Southern Plains and the Ozarks, you kind of start to get a little bit of a break midday Saturday, and then that piece of energy starts to eject across Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. And as we go through, you can see that that energy starts to get to the East Coast, and then you can see that second piece of energy by Saturday evening. And the time, the timing could be a few hours earlier here, it could be a few hours later, but just in general, by Saturday evening, that second wave of energy is about to eject up here, and that initial wave is over here. And one thing we talked about a lot on the previous streams was east of the Appalachian Mountains, you do get some of that cold air to kind of get trapped on the east side of the mountains. So you can see you got warm air actually pushing up a decent ways into Alabama on the west side of the mountains, but on the east side, you get more cold air trapped over here, which is going to create a pretty, in my opinion, you're probably going to have two big spots when it comes to high ice totals, and that's probably like Arkansas, northern Louisiana, into northwest Mississippi, southwest Tennessee, and then the other spot is going to be the Carolinas down to the Atlanta area. And Atlanta is going to be close on this one. We'll see if you guys end up more rain or freezing rain. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in here. We got 60 of you guys in here. Make sure to smash that like button. I don't know how many likes we have in here, but it's like 40 something. So smash that like button. Let's get, I think the last couple streams got over 100. We had one close to 200. So let's get over 100 likes. It really helps me out, guys. Appreciate it. So here, you can see that wave of energy kind of moving up here to the east. And then by midnight, Saturday night, there's that second piece of energy. Not overly strong on the GFS. Not overly strong, but it's strong enough that it's going to dump snow. So you have your sleet. You can see your snow and sleet line just to the north of that line. It's going to absolutely dump snow. You could even get some thunder snow up here. But you can see the northern cutoff is pretty sharp. The Euro has a lot more snow up here than the GFS. So that's something, if you live like around I-70 corridor or even a little north of that, that's something that we're going to have to watch here. And we got Jim doing work in here as the moderator. As I do these more, I'll add some more moderators to these. But okay, so here you go. By Sunday afternoon, you still have heavy snow in Arkansas, Oklahoma by Sunday afternoon, and then it finally moves out by the evening, and you can see here's your low. This is another thing to watch for your I-95 corridor. We're going to have to watch the placement of that low. So if this low is a little bit closer to the shore, Philly, DC, Baltimore, New York, you could get sleeted out of your higher snow totals. If that low is about right here, it's going to be a really close call. And if that low is a little further out to sea, then you're going to get all snow. And the heaviest might be along the coast, but yeah, this keeps the sleet farther south. So DC, you stay snow. Philly, stay snow. New York, Boston, snow. The Euro has that a little farther north, and you could get some sleet issues up there towards the 95 corridor. And that's a spot that I'm thinking about chasing potentially, but we'll see. We got one gifted membership. Thank you so much, Candace, for the one gifted membership. Once we get our members back up a little bit more people on there, I'll start to do more content for that. But you can see this low slides up here. All right, so enough yapping. Y'all want to see how much snow the GFS has, and I apologize, everybody. I was showing you guys the 12Z like an idiot. All right, we're gonna look at the 0Z now a little bit quicker. Okay, so here's the 0Z Friday night. That first wave of energy moves over. Second wave of energy comes in really strong. Oklahoma City, you go all snow. Fayetteville, all snow. Louisville, all snow. And that low. Okay, so that low, you got DC, you're right on the edge. Philly is mostly snow. New York's all snow. But Philly, you're on the edge here. Sorry for showing you guys the wrong. We were looking at the 12. We already looked at the 12Z for like half an hour this morning, probably. So that's my bad, chat. All right. I didn't notice until I went to these snow totals that it was the wrong model. But yeah, the GFS, I think, did tick north. All right, here's the GFS. All right. So. Oh, boy. Fayetteville, 2 feet of snow. I will apologize if Fayetteville actually gets 2 feet of snow. Fayetteville ain't getting 2 feet of snow. If everything hits right, I could see 1.5 feet, maybe. I think you're probably going to get like a foot, actually. Like, I think this is going to be the biggest storm in Northwest Arkansas, probably in like a decade at least. You ain't getting 2 feet of snow. Oklahoma City, probably not getting 2 feet of snow just because I think that enough sleet is going to mix in. You could get 5 or 6 inches of snow in Oklahoma City, but if you get like 3 inches of sleet, that takes away from your snow. If all that sleet was snow, yeah, you could get over 1 foot of snow, but I think that you're going to have some sleet mixed in there. Now it brings almost a 6-inch line up to I-70 here. Joplin sitting at 13 inches there. Y'all know I'm from Joplin, so if we got 13 inches of snow, I think that'd be our biggest snow in about literally 15 years. I'm not even kidding. We've had a lot of snows here that were like 8-9 inches, but it feels like we haven't been very lucky to get that big like footer in here. Groundhog Day 2011, we got 18. I was like 6 years old and I hardly remember. So, but, and then over here, Lexington, Kentucky gives you 2 feet of snow. Probably overdone. DC, you get sleet in DC and you still get 1.5 feet of snow. And then New York City, a little bit above 1 foot. Boston, 1.5 feet. So this would obviously be, I don't have to state the obvious, this would obviously be a generational cross-country snowstorm if that happened. I don't know if my buddy Connor Croft is still in here, but I know Connor was telling me this storm sucks. It's going to be so mid. You know, Louisville's only going to get 1 foot of snow. Like, Louisville getting 1 foot of snow is pretty good in my opinion, but if that GFS happens, they ain't going to be mid. But as far as ice goes, the GFS is less bullish on the ice than the Euro, and I'll show you guys this in a second. The Euro has like a bunch of ice up here, GFS farther down, but still a very impactful storm. Dallas, Austin, Houston, Beaumont, over Midland, Odessa, Abilene, very impactful storm. Oxford, Mississippi here. And I think this could be a little farther north too. But Atlanta gets smoked. Athens, Let's hope this doesn't happen. This would be catastrophic. Pretty good ice storm over there in North Carolina. Still shows you above half an inch. Half an inch of ice is a lot, guys. I mean, half an inch of ice will cause problems. An inch of ice will be catastrophic. 1.5 inches of ice is destructive. So, is Atlanta ice or snow? Atlanta is going to be ice, not snow. So if you want snow at Atlanta, there could be a chance next weekend, and we'll talk about that a little bit. That's very far out, but hey, watch it. Just watch it. So you can see you got ice all the way down. We got winter storm watches all the way down to the Del Rio, Texas area. So all the way down to that Mexico border. Which model's more reliable? The European is more reliable, and the European is loading in right now, but we'll look at it. All right, we'll look at the European still loading in, so we'll look at the Canadian here. I want to try to do a Canadian accent, but might not go well. And then I guess the other Canadian accent would just be speaking French, but I can't speak French either. So crippling ice, yeah. If the GFS is right, crippling ice storm for Atlanta. If some of the other models are right, Atlanta, you're on the edge. But I will say, shallow cold air always moves a little bit farther south than what models say. So when I say shallow cold air, I mean like the air's cold at the surface and then you go up 2 miles and it's above freezing. That's what I mean by shallow. So it's cold at the surface, you go up and it's not as cold. Okay, so here's the Canadian. Pretty solid precip happening. A lot of sleet, some light snow by mid. Why is my little pin so big? Okay. Pretty solid snow happening there by midnight. Here you can see solid snowstorm Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Now you can see here, look at that. You can see just like the GFS, it has this first wave of energy moving to the east, has a little break over here, and then here's that second wave of energy over here about to come up this way. So the timing is a little bit different than the GFS, but same idea. One wave of energy and then a second one. So here's that second wave of energy. It really packs a punch there. St. Louis I-44 corridor. And then you're getting on the sleet snow line up in DC. Philly is all snow at this point. And then look at that. Your sleet. DC, sleet. Philly, sleet, snow. New York, still snow. We got a solid little snow on the back end. So this snow on the back end here, this is a pretty big snow shield. I mean, you got a snow shield all the way up to the lakes. That snow up there, it's going to be lighter snow, but your temperatures are so cold that your snowfall ratios are going to be so efficient. So you're going to pick up a little bit more snow than you might think for how dry it is. But, and then finishing out Sunday evening. See, okay, so look at this low pressure placement. This low pressure is very close to the coast. So like I was saying, if you're up in the Northeast I-95 corridor, you got to watch the placement of the low pressure. So if that low pressure is a little farther out, you're going to stay all snow. If it comes up to the coast, you're going to go snow first, then sleet, and then maybe snow on the backside. But there it is. So let's look at totals here. And this model is not very reliable. So, I mean, it has a foot of snow, Northwest Arkansas by Louisville, and then it kind of has like 8 to 12 inches in the Northeast. So this one's a little bit lower, still a very big storm, but this is the model I wouldn't put a ton of stock into. And just for fun, it shows a storm next week, and we'll go look at this just for fun. What I'm about to show you, don't take this serious. This is like 8 days away, but has a lot of cold air, really cold air. And then look at this, has really cold air. Another big high pressure up here, cold air coming down. And then you have a low out here riding the coastline. And this would be a classic setup for a big snowstorm on the coast, on the Gulf Coast, kind of like the one we had last year. So look at that. The Canadian shows a big, snowstorm there on the coast. Is this going to happen? Probably not. Is there definitely a threat for some kind of winter weather in the South again? Yes, there is if the pattern sets up right. But this is just, we're just looking at this for fun. So it has Atlanta getting like a foot of snow or something. But this is 10 days out on a model that's not very good. So don't take, but if in a few days, if there's still some signals like that in a few days, then we'll have to start looking at it more. All right, we'll look at the icon quick. We'll just look at the totals of snow on the icon and ice. Wow. For me at my house, I'd love this. 19 inches of snow in Joplin, Missouri. Joplin, Missouri is the bullseye. And then like almost 2 feet as well up by New York and Boston here. A big chunk of 12 plus, St. Louis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton. That would be a big deal. This would be insane right here. I mean, you're talking Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Joplin, Wichita, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, Indianapolis, Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly. I mean, you're talking about all these big cities getting over a foot of snow. I don't think that's realistic. Something to watch though, but this model seems like it's out to lunch a little bit. All right, we'll look at the UK Met. I haven't even looked at this, so this would also make me a happy camper. 1.5 foot of snow over my house. 20 inches in New York. But look, it kind of shows us again. It's kind of farther north, up towards 70s. Something to watch. The good models aren't showing this, at least yet. I haven't even looked at the Euro. We can look at the Euro and see if the Euro is showing anything like this. First, I want to show you guys. Instead of just looking at the preset maps, let's dive into some meteorology here. So, all right. Here is Friday evening. So you have your main jet stream. You kind of have your main jet stream up here. Kind of just a pattern, main pattern. Obviously, you've got a lot of cold air that's dove in. And then you have your secondary system right here. So you have a Baja low out here by the Baja. So basically what's going to happen, to put it in simple terms, this system right here is going to phase with this system right here. They're going to come together, and then it's going to amp the storm up. So you can see there's a lot of flow right here that's creating that warm air advection. Obviously cold air meeting warm air, but see what's going to happen, and I'll play it forward. You're going to see this phase. I'll show you in a second the vorticity. It might be easier to see, but look at this. I know my face might have been blocking some of that maybe. I'm not sure, but look at this. You can see by Saturday evening, look at how these systems phase into one. See how this system now has phased with this system right here? This is all kind of one now. So that's why we're getting such a big storm, is because you're having a favorable cold front meeting Gulf moisture with a big upper level jet, and then there's another jet off the coast of Baja that's phasing in with the main one. So that's why you're getting such a big storm. So this looks like a pretty textbook setup for a big storm, big cold. So let's see what the Euro does. So throughout the whole process, these winter storms are very tricky. Throughout the whole process, the Euro, I think, has been the best. Candace, thank you for sending 5 gifted memberships. Let's go. All right, we got Garrett in here. What's up, Storm Runner Media? Marianne, how's it going? Kim, what's up? Rockets, how's it going? Nice to see you guys in here. Catman, what's up? Ronnie, everybody. I know some of y'all did it earlier. If you haven't yet, maybe you want to do it again. Let me know, where are you watching from? I want to know where you guys are tuned in from. Later in the stream, I'll answer some of y'all's questions. If you want to know what's going to happen at your location later on, I'll be like, hey, tell me where you are. I'll tell you what's going to happen to the best of my knowledge. But all right, we're going to look at our Euro here. And then after we look at the Euro,